Hello, everybody, and indeed, welcome back to another episode of Content Camp. Today, our guest is Tony Valle. Tony is a partner at Prometheus Consulting, a computer consulting company, and he is the co-founder of our very own Content Camp. Tony, we are so happy to have you here. How are you today?
Oh, I'm very good, thank you. And by the way, I was going to be here anyway.
Yeah,
I'm
you
here
were.
at every show. But thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
The first question I want to ask you today is, what is Content Camp for those who don't know?
Yeah, so I would say Content Camp is a place for kid creators or creative kids, maybe we'll say, to do a couple of things. One is learn video production skills. My idea is to have the kids do absolutely everything, every part of it, be on camera, be off camera, working the video, working the audio, doing the lighting, everything. But then the other skill that I'm kind of secretly trying to spread by doing Content Camp is actually just conversational skills. So I secretly want to put kids and adults together at the same table and let conversation happen and just see what happens.
Well, when and what sparked the idea to start Content Camp?
Yeah, so I think in one way, David, this is an idea that I've kind of had kicking around in my head for a long time. I can tell you the origins of the idea. I was reading Benjamin Franklin's autobiography a long time ago, and it's absolutely fascinating. You know, he was a guy whose family was very simple and very basic. His dad was a candle maker. He grew up in Boston, and this candle maker's son made it all the way to become an internationally famous politician. He was known world around, basically. And I always kind of wondered, how in the world did that happen? How does the candle maker's son become this internationally famous politician? Well, there's a little hint, I think, in his autobiography. Benjamin Franklin said that when he was a kid, at the dinner table, his father would always leave an extra place, set an extra plate for any interesting person who might be passing through to come have dinner with the family, because he wanted to foster interesting conversation. He wanted his kids to be exposed to interesting conversation coming from people from all walks of life. So I think that was a little secret that stuck with me for a long, long time. And it took me years later before I finally realized, oh, we can use podcasting, video podcasting, as a way to kind of recreate that. Good question.
And there's a lot of technology here. I mean, there's computers, these microphones, headphones. We're doing all this technology stuff. How do you know how to do that? How do you lead the way for these kids?
Yeah, sure. It's I think a lot of it has to do with my education. For years, I always thought my education was kind of a disconnect, I was one of those people who, I majored in X, but I'm doing Y or Z in my career. So I got a degree in telecommunications at Indiana University. Graduated, in 1992, a long time ago. But that's where I learned how to basically run a TV station and a radio station. And it was super, super fun, really cool skills. I actually worked in television in the Chicago area for a couple of years after that. And back in those days, it was a horrible way to make a living. I mean, and it kind of wasn't for me. And years after that, I just kind of, that was like my past. I just thought, well, I'll never use those skills again. But I did get into the podcasting game quite early. I think our first podcast, Small Business Radio, was 2005, something like that. It was a long time ago. And I think also I've been a musician, and I liked writing and recording music. So I've always been a guy who's been around this type of equipment, audio equipment, video equipment. So I just think, I've just kept those skills going over all these years, and here I am using it again. It's pretty crazy.
Teaching the youth.
There you go.
What has been like your favorite part of content camp so far?
I think that my favorite part so far, I feel like it was maybe our second episode or so, second or third, somewhere in there. It's something that kind of happened after a show, after we recorded one of these shows. All you guys just kind of started hanging out.
That was the second episode.
Second episode? Yeah, so there was this sort of bonding that started to happen, and everyone getting to know each other. That's kind of, I think, that's when we started doing almost the after show.
Yeah, with Riley.
Show, yeah. We record the show, then we sit here, and we've done this with you, David, several times. Now we sit here and we talk about what just happened, what did we learn, but also it's just kind of hanging out. And I think that's my favorite part, seeing you guys get to know each other better. That's been my favorite part so far.
Why do you think what is happening here, what you're doing here, why do you think that's like important for kids to know and learn?
Yeah. Great question. I think one of the secrets in life, I think if you ask any adult, what made you, what got you to where you are? I think almost anyone who is being introspective at all will have to say they had all sorts of helpers, all sorts of, it's who they know. Mm-hmm. And I really do believe that. I believe who you know is super, super important, and it can be life-changing. If you look at my career with your dad, it kind of this is one of those classic who you know stories, right?
Yes.
I remember the day I met your dad at Indiana University. He was locked out of his dorm room, sitting on his Rubbermaid container. That was his first day of college, basically. Your grandpa, Ray Bob, didn't even come upstairs; just dropped him off. And he wasn't even there.
Sounds about right.
Anyway, there your dad was sitting, and he was across the hall from my room, and we just fired up a conversation. And as they say, the rest is history. And just when I look on my own life, it's the people. It's the people that were so critical. So another thing I learned along the way through podcasting is that this is a great way to get to know whoever you want to know. Almost nobody says, no, thanks, I won't be on your podcast. So you can use podcasting to be kind of strategic with your life. You can decide who would be a good person for me to have in my life, some sort of relationship. And it can start with podcasting. So I'm trying to, that's what I'm really trying to impart to you kids is the ability to talk to anybody, because that's going to be hugely important to your lives, no matter what you want to do, I think.
I mean, this is like a kid-driven, it's a kid-driven podcast, running the equipment and being on screen. It's all kids. How did you decide on the age range of the kids for content camp?
Yeah. Some of it is kind of a guess, right?
Right.
Some of it's a guess. But I will tell you, in general, I have a real faith in kids, and I kind of have this thesis that, in general, in our society, kids are not really allowed to be adults very early. In other words, I think in a lot of ways, our society kind of holds kids back a little bit. We spend all this time, in a classroom and asking for permission to whatever, go to the bathroom, things like that. And I just always kind of wondered, I just feel like kids are much more capable than we give them credit for. So you guys, maybe you've noticed, I mean, I kind of feel like I've done relatively little direction. And really from day one, I kind of said to you guys, okay, here you go. Like I show you how stuff works, but after that, I just let you figure it out. And I think so far, this experiment has really kind of proven this, for me, this thesis that I have. You guys have done a great job, I remember the first time sitting with David on the video switcher, right? And early on, I was kind of giving you direction, like, hey, take 2, take 1. But then after a while, it's like he got it. And I really didn't need to say anything. That was his first day ever doing it.
And we've also grown. I mean, it's been, 5-6 weeks at most. I can't count. But,
yeah.
But, I mean, when David got here, you asked him if he wanted to be on camera. First thing he said is no. And here he is. And
that's right.
Most of what I said before I got here was like, I don't want to be on camera. I want to be behind the scenes. Yes. And this is my 3rd that I've been on. Yes. So I think even just in this short amount of time, you can see the effect on both of us and not just us, everybody else here.
Yeah, and I love that. I'm so curious. I would love to hear why, like David, what do you think changed? Because when you first got here, you're like, I'm not going to be on camera. So what changed with you? What made you rethink that?
I don't know. Like a lot of the time when I'm doing a group project, if it's at school, if it's at my house, or if it's here, I'm kind of the person who doesn't like to be seen a lot.
Yeah.
And I think there's like something about being around everybody that I know now.
Yeah.
Makes me want to be seen a bit more.
Yeah, so you're getting comfortable. That's good.
It's a big group of friends.
That's it. That's the idea. Very nice. Yeah. I'm super pleased that, and I think a lot of this stuff is a stretch. I mean, no one has experience being on camera, but I think hopefully you guys are seeing over time. It's like it's all about getting experience. You get a little bit better, and it's not so scary the next time. Yeah.
It's all about, like what you said, it's all about the people that's even here. None of us are the same age. None of us go to the same school, but through this common experience and learning, it's formed a little group. And I think that has helped being more enthusiastic about everything.
Yeah, back in the day, back in the early days of our country, I'm pretty sure that the way schooling works, they talk about the little red schoolhouse, and they did not separate kids by age or by grade or whatever. Everyone was in the same place. Now, they were working at different levels, but they were all in the same place. And from what I've heard, it worked very, very well. The older kids helped the younger kids, which cemented the knowledge of the older kids. And, FYI, as Content Camp grows, you guys are going to be the OGs, right? Mm-hmm. You'll have more experience than the new kids coming in. And you'll be showing the kids the ropes, Like my concept is, I really don't see myself as like playing a super. I'm not going to be like the teacher front and center all the time. I really kind of think that I would like to see you guys take more and more of that role, which is super exciting.
Well, why, what makes you think it's so important for kids to take hold of all the roles instead of being told what to do, or communication skills?
Yeah. Well, because I think that even if you don't end up, let's say, in a profession that has to do with video production, I think if you can come away from this feeling like you got experience and you gained confidence at something, and you were experienced in being a part of a team, I think that's going to be super valuable. So I just think I think every kid needs to feel like they're part of something, and I think that's good for everybody.
I 100% agree. I'm in marching band, and that is a team activity if there's ever been one, because if there is one person out of place, it's obvious up in the stands. And that's something they teach us right away, is that whether you like it or not, you're now part of a team. And those people are counting on you, but it's also this big community where you're friends with everyone. And being in marching band has really built my confidence. I mean, 2 years ago, this never would have happened. I never would have been on camera. I mean, like, I've known you forever, but still, I wouldn't have wanted to be on camera interviewing you. Just being part of something that I felt like I belonged to really boosted my confidence and how good I felt about myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you could say to yourself, this one thing worked out, even though it was scary.
Mm-hmm.
I kept showing up and it worked out. So then you come here and you think, well, maybe it'll go that way again,
Yeah.
Yeah. So any experience like that is really good. Lewis does School of Rock.
Yeah.
And which you guys need to come see a show sometime. His band is insanely good. But I've got to see all those kids just keep showing up,
Mm-hmm.
keep creating with each other, and they gain more and more confidence. And I think there comes a point when you become really good at something, it's just super fun. That feeling of, I'm not worried because I'm good at what I'm doing, so I'm just going to enjoy it. That's
And you can focus on the social aspect too. You can think
Yes.
about like, oh, well, now I know what I'm doing. Now it's time to make some friends.
Yeah, totally.
And you already touched on it kind of, but I had a question written down, which was, how do you hope to see Content Camp grow in the future?
Boy, good question. Well, I would like to see it gain in popularity. Something that's been great so far. It's super fun to see parents drop their kids off and just know that, wow, my kid's seems to be really enjoying it, and it's gonna be a good time. And I just want to see word spread, and I'm kind of really excited about who are our next crew members going to be, and I think once we get a bigger crew, we can start to really explore some other things. Like we're building a computer lab, because kind of a part of it we haven't touched on yet as a group is the editing side of video creation. And it seems like every time I talk to you guys, you're all super jazzed to learn that part of the process, which we will learn. We got Max, and we're building the computer lab and that sort of thing. Kind of my feeling as we grow, as we have a bigger crew, and as we gain experience, I kind of see an evening session like. Some people will be coming in and doing the show like this, just like we do now. Some people will be on camera. Some people are going to be working the back end. But we might also just have an editing crew kind of working on projects. We might have kind of like a social media crew. There are any number of ways we can kind of dive deeper. We could have a crew that's doing an audio podcast one night.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really fun to think of how this place could be a really bustling, fun place to kind of create together, get experience, and do some really cool stuff and make some great friends.
And how do you think you make that a reality?
Well, I think we've got to start advertising. So this is going to be. I really hope I have plans to start leaning on the social media pretty hard. I think it seems like for this for this endeavor, social media is totally the the way that word's going to spread.
We do have an Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah. Content Camp and a YouTube, of course.
Of course, and Spotify and everything.
Yeah. Audio podcast too. Yeah. So it's really, I think we just gotta keep on pushing, and I think we're gonna get some traction here pretty soon, and you're gonna start to see some new faces. You guys will be, like I said, you'll be the OGs,
The pros.
right? By the way, like I want to comment that you have questions that are laid out, which is very good. This reminds me of even just the learning process from show 1 to show whatever we're on 4 or 5.
5.
Yeah, isn't it interesting how we come away from each episode and it's like we learned little things.
I mean, yeah, when we sat down at the end of the last episode and we talked about what we could have done better, I think that was really helpful. I wasn't on camera, but I still learned, and we talked about what we could do better anchoring, and even just talked about like how the show went in general, which I think was helpful to everyone, even though some of us weren't on camera.
I feel like every day we do this, there's someone will have an idea, like your dad last time said, hey, instead of the guest comes in, sits down, and boom, we start the show, why don't you just have this period of chit chat?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, why didn't I think of that? Oh my gosh, what a great idea. So I think that it's an example of, we'll always do that moving forward, I think. But it took us a couple shows for that idea to emerge.
Well, even like we were having some trouble with the intro. It didn't flow naturally. So today we kind of wrote a bio for you of what we were going to say. Even that was just a learning experience from last episode, something that we talked about could have been better. So I think it really shows how we're learning every episode.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. And once you guys start to know editing, for example. Now, David, you've done some editing. Tell me again the types of stuff you do.
I like to do stop motion.
Yes.
And then I like to do a lot of other fun things, like just in general videos.
Yeah. And do you post them like on social media, or you just keep them to yourself?
No, I'm trying to get my mom to get me a YouTube account, though.
Ah. See, now you have one. It's called Content Camp. So I really do. I'm excited for you guys. I think once we really start getting some momentum and get you guys some experience, I think you'll all have little projects you're working on, And you showed me the stop motion stuff. It's really cool.
I would love to see it. I haven't seen it. I think that's really cool.
It's really cool because I've always heard that takes a ton of time. Does it take much time?
Probably for about like 20, 30 seconds. It can take about 10, 20 minutes.
Wow.
But for like the professionals, it can take up to days, weeks.
Yeah. That's crazy.
To form like a 2-minute video.
So it's interesting to me that there's something like you're so excited for that creation that you're willing to sit there and put all that time into it.
I love filming and editing.
Very cool.
I don't like editing.
Why? What don't you like about it?
I find it stressful. In all the projects I've edited, something has gone wrong. And it's a lot of problem solving on a deadline, which is something that stresses me out, but I've gotten better at since I do live shows for my class. But editing, I find, is difficult for me because it's just sitting there looking at the same clip over and over again, trying to get it perfect. And it's an ordeal, but I'm excited to try it with this because this is kind of a new form of content for me. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to get you guys in the edit bay and, onward and upward. It's
always.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tony, for joining us. We have had a great time. And we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Thank you, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show, and I wanted to just take a moment to let you know if you have a kid who you think would enjoy being part of our crew, maybe hanging out for a day and seeing what it's like working on a video podcast, we would love to have them. Just reach out to me. The email address is producer@contentcamp.kids. My name's Tony Val, and I would love to connect and show your kid what it's all about.